let's go for this. So, you know,
You
I
started
threw myself in.
You moved in. That's how you kind of transitioned into
Yeah,
triathlete.
doing short course stuff at first, learning how to swim again, you know, when you haven't done it from being a kid. You know, now crawl for a mile, you know.
And just if people don't understand what triathletes are, because you might not.
Yeah.
We're almost really to find the fittest person on the planet. We're almost a little bit like CrossFit is now, or whatever.
Yeah, true, yeah.
The triathlete it was called Ironman. Was it called Ironman?
The ultimate distance was Ironman.
Yeah.
There was an Olympic distance, which is the one that the Brownlee brothers now, you know, the Olympic and world champions, you know, Alistair and Jonathan. So everybody's heard of it through them, but in them days, nobody knew what it was.
Well, the only people the only way I'd heard of it was in Phil's barbershop, because he had bikes up, Gatorade. Do you remember?
Yeah.
There were everything sort of on the shop.
Selling heart rate monitors.
But as a kid looking at you, I was like going, God, that's really cool. You know, it was like, because
different.
there was no TV, there were only magazines.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You didn't really have social media, so you couldn't really latch onto it. So it was kind of a new thing, and we knew that Phil Fryer was doing it.
Yeah.
And we probably kind of inspired a few others to kind of get into it as well.
Yeah, I've been told that since, that people only took it up because they knew how we're doing it, which is really great, isn't it? You know, a lady got in touch with me from Australia last year, and she used to run a gym in Wakefield, and she contacted me on Facebook, and she ended up being a British champion. And she said the only reason I got into it, well, you used to run from Cherwell to Wakefield to do some weight training on Monday, and she used to talk to me about triathlon, and then she got hooked a few years later and became a champion.
Bloody hell.
And she says it's thanks to you that I got into it. It's
It's
so nice, that,
yeah.
So now we're felt so humbled, really. Cause
and you've not done anything. You've just turned up, and she's just looked at you and thought, I want to get him. Yeah, I'll have a go at it.
You know, what you were doing inspired somebody.
Yeah. And just, I think going into the triathlons, it'd be nice to sort of understand what your training was like as you're going into these, what kind of distances you were covering, how hard it was. Because being a triathlete, it's not for everybody, I don't think.
No, it's not.
And
especially if you're an amateur as well, which I was, because I was still running my own shop. But my daughters at that time were doing a little bit of swimming, a little bit of biathlons, you know, bike run, short distance stuff. And Louise and Emma started swimming for Leeds City. So they were training at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning down at Leeds City. So this is all through winter as well. So I'd take them down to Leeds City, and I'd go running on the canal for an hour while they were doing their training. Then take them for breakfast, take them to school. Then you'd come home at night. You'd maybe do a 50 mile on your bike or something. Maybe do another little run at the end of it, and it was just like this relentlessly. You know, I was doing twice a day training, and then at weekends you'd do anything really. You know, you'd drive to cycle to Scarborough and back, or Bridden back.
How many miles were you doing on the bike a week then, or
I'm maybe sort of averaging about 200 a week on the bike, maybe about 50 mile a week running, about 10 mile a week swimming, and then doing a bit of weights in between that.
Which is crazy, isn't it?
It was a bit, you know, and you'd race on top of that, so that was training wise. So it was a bit.
So you're kind of doing nearly 350 mile bike, road, swim, and train and do it on there.
And you did some back to back because you've got to get used to the transitions, you know. So I had mates that were good at running. I mean, my running were okay while I did it, all this charity stuff, but I wasn't the best runner. I ended up being a better cyclist. So I'd go out and do, say, a 50 mile on my bike, and then I'd meet my mate or a good runner, and then he'd drag me around a half marathon, you know, a 13 mile. So you do 50 and a 13 straight after. So
and this is just training. So we do 50 mile on the bike, and then get off the bike immediately after, go do a 30 mile run.
Yeah,
and
straight away.
That's just practicing, isn't it?
That's just back to back training. It was called, and that got you used to event day. Literally just jumping, you know, getting out of the water, jumping on a bike, jumping off your bike in your trainers. So we kind of jumped from Olympic distance, which was a mile swim, 25 mile bike, and a 10k run, which the Brownlees, like I said, world champions at. But then I've done like loads of them, done about 50 of those, so got a bit bored. Let's up it to we'd heard about the Ironman, so we thought we'll
let's just up it. I've done that.
We'll try half Ironman first. And the only place in England that had an half Ironman at that time was Scotland. So you can imagine what the terrain were like out
tough.
Up in
mountains.
Aberfeldy, So it was quite tough up there. Aberfeldy half Ironman, and it was a qualifier for the World Championships in Hawaii. The first 10 got chosen for Hawaii World Champs if you wanted to do it.
And you're an amateur at this time. You've never done a race before.
Well, not
at that level.
No, but you've got a job, to back yourself, to pay your own way. And
so you were self-funding as well at this time.
Totally. I got a bit cute with it after a couple of years. I started to think, well, I'm starting to get a load of newspaper coverage, which is just like now with the Facebook and whatever else, lots of media. So I thought, well, if I get somebody's name on my bike, they'll get, when anybody wants a photo for a newspaper on my bike in front of me with their name on. So a small way of, not exactly Lewis Hamilton, but me and Cherwell, so I'd got people's names, local garage. I had a tri-spoke wheel and I had a different business name on each spoke, and then there were a place in Cleckheaton, Artisan Fireplaces. A guy that I knew from there, ex-rugby player Gary Higginbottom. He used to sponsor me, give me money towards like my travel expenses and stuff. So I used to run from here to Cleckheaton, pick my check up and run home. From Cherwell and back, just again for training, but I'd come home with a check, somebody's money. And it was great, really. It was fantastic. So then we developed into then Ironman, which had got to go to Germany or Lanzarote for the Ironman. And Britain didn't have an Ironman competition. And it was just brilliant. It was just and people don't know what an Ironman is. Then you're up in the distance to 2.5 mile swimming in a sea or canal, which in Germany it was a canal, which is about 10 times as wide as our canals in England. You've all seen the other side sometimes. So canals are so, because they're shipping canals, aren't they? And so 2.5 mile in a canal or sea, 112 mile bike ride, and then the full marathon to finish. At the end of it. So we're doing that in about
112 mile on a bike.
Yeah.
After you've been at sea for 2.5 miles.
Yeah. And then get off and people say, "Oh, I'm doing a marathon week," and you go, "Oh yeah, I did that at the end of my event." So it's a little bit getting your head around it was the hardest bit.
What was your biggest achievement in Ironman? Did you manage to qualify? Did you win any tournaments or?
My this one I'm quite proud of. There were two other guys in Yorkshire that were like big names. A guy called Jack Maitland. You might have heard of him because he used to win like Mount Cameron, Guinness Marathon, some of these like strange marathons around the world. He'd win them all. He was so fit with Jack, and ironically, he's ended up one of the coaches for the Brownlees.
Right. Okay.
Jack Maitland. There's another guy called Mick Flaherty, who was a fireman in Wakefield. He was a great runner. Still does triathlons now, 10 years younger than me. And they asked me if I'd join them in the Yorkshire Championships triathlon. So I'd never done that before, because I've always been, if I'm going to do something, I know what, if I let myself down, I let myself down. I don't let anybody else down. This time, it's Jack does a swim, I do the bike. Nick
so it's a team event.
Then that's pressure then, you see, and I wasn't really into that, but I was privileged to be asked to do it. And it was at Pugneys Lake in Wakefield. Jack, straight in the water, armband on like captain of the football, comes out 2 minutes in front of anybody else and gives me the armband and says, don't lose it on the bike. So 25 mile on the bike, absolutely crapping it.
Were you adrenaline?
Somebody's breathing down my back. I kept hearing things that somebody's catching me. So I was off like, honestly, I never maybe rode as hard as that in my life. And I got back, I'd maintained the lead, and Mick got the armband, and we just won everybody in the whole of Yorkshire Championships. And that's the first straight win in triathlon. Didn't win any individual events, but I came third in an event called the Leeds Centenary Triathlon, and there were 500 competitors in it. And if you think about it, say in my first triathlon, if there were 500 competitors, I'd come 400th, because I was so green, really, so new to it. And then there's 500 competitors, and I got third, and I got a prize, a cash prize, and a great trophy, and I was so proud. That one. Especially because it was Leeds, my own ground, and I got third individually.
Do you think it being at your own ground it gave you a bit more of a lift when you were doing it?
Yeah. cycling Otley Chevin, and it was all like all the roads that I know all around North Leeds, and tough area, tough area, but it's what we're used to around here, and hills.
Well, Morley is 7 hills of Morley, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there is no flat in Morley, is there?
You've got to be able to do hills if you live around here, haven't you? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was a great experience, great experience. Went on for about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, I realised that my main one really is the cycling, because I want to start spending a bit more time at home. And I'd been introduced to a cycle club called Yorkshire Road Club, and I'd heard they were really good, and I'd heard that Beryl Burton were their second claim member. She was with Morley. She'd obviously been world champion for 25 years previous, and she was like, in cycling on the women terms, she was the only person you'd heard about. Only person, if you said mention a female cyclist, it was Beryl Burton. And so I'd heard she was a second claim member to our club, so I thought, what a great club to join. I'm going to go in. I'm just a triathlete. They're all pure cyclists. Join the club. I'm the worst rider in the club. And all these old guys, all ex-champions, giving me advice. And, it was, some of them had been, 25-mile British champion in their time, and others had been team champions. And all these fantastic people giving me advice. And eventually worked at it. And within about 3 years, I became Yorkshire Road Club champion. And I broke 3 of their records, 10 mile, 25 and 50 mile, that stood for 30 years. So
when you're
proud.
When you're doing that, just try and get into your head a little bit. What's going through your mind when you first started cycling? Are you thinking, I want to win, or I want to be the best I can? What makes you almost become that champion?
I think...
What is it? Why do you do it?
Well, I think it's similar to the mentality like you've got in what you do, you sells homes. I mean, you've got the drive and the ambition to grow your business, and it's just the same as growing your fitness level, or 1 minute being 200th in a race, and then 6 months later after training, then you're in the top 100, and then you're in the top 50. There's that. You've got to have that drive, haven't you, and that sort of mental strength not to give in.
I'm almost quite impulsive. So I'm like, I always think I'm all or nothing.
Yeah.
I can never, if I said something, I think I'm going to go try that, but I'll see how it goes. I kind of go do it. If I like it, I think, right, this is for me. I'll start to go extreme and impulsive and go, I've got to do this to the best I can, or otherwise there's no point at all.
No, it's no good going in.
It's not just for fun.
Much. Yeah. It's no good just treading your toes in, is it? You've got to go full on.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like even the hiking thing, when I've started hiking, is I started doing the 3 peaks, which would be nice to talk to you about the 3 peaks.
Yeah.
And my friend, I said, let's just see what it's like to go up a mountain and come back down.
Yeah.
And to me, the closest mountain was Pennygent.
Yeah, sure.
So I thought, we'll go up there and we'll come back down. We went up there, back down, went down one side, and then went all up Ingleborough and back round again. And he says, look, if you can do that, you can do anything now.
Of course, yeah.
And that was the first time and no training.
That's pretty good with no training.
Oh, absolutely. It took me that time, but then all of a sudden, it was so painful coming back down. I pulled my groin. I just thought, this is awful. I can remember running out of water.
Yeah.
So the night before, what I thought was a good idea was to go to Five Guys and get salty burgers, salty chips, because I thought, a whole water in me. This is just in my thinking. So as I'm going up the mountain, I'm absolutely dry. So I'm gulping all this water down. I took all my water and I took all my mate's water, but my mate's a really seasoned hiker, so he can kind of run on anything. And it got to the Ingleborough. So I'm going up Ingleborough, I've got a groin strain, and as I'm going up Ingleborough, there's a river, and I'm thinking, I could just drink that water. I thought I'd just drink straight out of the water. And I hated every bit of it. Yeah. I thought, this is not for me. I'm not doing it. I thought I knew what was coming, but I didn't.